Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. You ready to go?
Sure. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming. It's nice to have a full room. We can turn the heat down. We'll start off with old business, site plan application for 99 Fairfield LLC. We'll do Kevin first.
Yeah, our planner is not with us today, but Kevin is here.
Yes, thank you. Can you guys hear me?
We got you. It's good.
Good.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's great to see you. Kevin Peterman from LKMA as the village engineer. We have reviewed the revised application materials prepared by LaGuardia Design Group dated December 4th of 2025, and we have no further comments. We feel they addressed our comments and they comply with code. By way of history, this application entails the demolition of the existing swimming pool, spa, pool house, pergola, and paver patio in the rear of the residence to make way for a new swimming pool, spa, pool house, pergola, and paver patio. One of our biggest concerns that we raised in our last review, Rhodey, maybe if you wanted to pull up one of the plans, let me see here.
Which one would you like?
That's the right set. How about sheet L 3.1? I think it's the next one. Perfect. So one of our biggest concerns in the last round of comments was just to make sure that the applicant wasn't going to disturb the conservation easement on the north side of the property there. And so we had asked them to kind of demonstrate where the construction equipment was going to be coming in. And so they've done that. They've proved that the construction access and the construction vehicles can actually navigate through the site. They altered the grading in the rear yard a little bit around the pool, and they flattened the area immediately north of the driveway just a hair. And I think that works out really well to allow construction equipment to actually get into the pool area without having to worry about any equipment going through the conservation easement that we want to make sure is not touched. And so I think they did a nice job in addressing all of the concerns that we had. Assuming that the applicant has addressed all of the outstanding comments of the village planner and the village board, we do recommend that the subject application be considered for site plan approval with the same condition that we normally volunteer, that the applicant shall be responsible to repair any damages to the village right-of-way incurred as a result of the subject application.
Just to have the sequence of the revisions for the board, we've got the original October 22nd, 2025 issue date revised to October 23rd, and then a final date that's, if it's for approval tonight, is December 4th, 2025.
And the planner said everything was okay?
Yes,
Sure.
you have his report, which
Right.
basically that's what it says.
Okay. So what do you think of motions to?
Yeah, you have
to
the
accept?
resolution in your package for approval.
Okay. I'll leave that read, if that's allowed.
Ken?
Okay.
Yep, there's one condition that the applicant shall be responsible to repair the damages to the village right of way incurred as a result of the subject application, which is just what the village engineer stated.
Any questions? I mean, you've got it all in print and verbally. Okay, great. So I'll make a motion to approve the site plan.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
You bet. New business site plan application of the Winnie Trust, 31 Hedges Lane. Someone's here to present.
Do the camera so that it can, is it possible to?
Excuse me, hold on a minute, Melissa. Whoever is got their mic open, can you please mute yourself? On. Thank you. Go ahead, Melissa.
Yes. Good afternoon, Melissa Dedovich, Wisconsin Environmental Trustees. I'm here on behalf of Winnie Trust LLC. I'm joined by Tim Haynes, who you just met, the architect on Zoom, as well as Denise Gernick, who is associate, Melissa Rivas, who's a partner with Hollander Landscape Design, and Kelly Kalbacher with the Rainer Group. I'd first like to start, I think everybody knows this property. It's a pretty special property. We're very fortunate to be working on a team and working for a family who really wants to bring it back into its historic integrity. One of the things, the history of this property is originally was two properties, 601 Sag Main and 31 Hedges. 31 Hedges was actually is the one, if you could go to the landscape plan, maybe?
Is that?
Next one more.
Yep. No. This one.
There we go, yeah. So originally, you can see where the scenic easement was. Originally, there was two properties. And the original property with the development on 31 Hedges Lane. That's the one that has the two historic structures on it, the main house, as well as the historic carriage house. Over the years, both of those buildings have been altered when it was under the town of Southampton, to the point that we really, in order to bring back the main house, we need to, and the architects will get in more detail, brings back a lot of the historic charm and a lot of the historic structures associated with the facade of the house. Both lots were purchased by the new owners last year, and they were recently merged on October 14th. So the total acreage is now 3.95 acres. The clients retained, was retained to Mr. Hollander to take a look at the site, and we also work with conjunction with John Whitfield. There's John here. And just to see how we fit from a zoning perspective, everything we're proposing is as of right, meaning no variances are required. So really, just to generalize it, what we're planning to do is remove. Can we go to the demolition plan? Sorry.
Was that?
Never mind the Rainer.
The third tab.
Got it?
Okay. There we go. Can you make it a little larger? Here, maybe. There we go.
Computer, Melissa.
So right now there is an existing, it was a former stable and it was now a wood shop that's on the eastern property line, and that's going to be demolished now because based on our review and discussions with the ARB, which by the way, we've gone in front of the ARB for pre-application, and they said we're on the right track. They seem to be in support of what we're doing at this point. What we're showing you is what we showed them. And then we're going to relocate the existing two-story dwelling about 45 feet to the west. And we're also going to be removing some of the non-historic additions, making the house and putting an addition to the rear of the house. The architect again will get into more detail about that. The existing two-story carriage house, which is actually a garage with apartments above, we're just renovating and restoring it. No changes. The only change that's going to happen is in the back is an exterior staircase that was added in 1986 that we're going to remove. We're also going to be constructing a single-story barn in the center. It's kind of in the vernacular of the existing or former stable, just to give a little more area for the clients and their 4 kids to have some more room. We also have a swimming pool with a surrounding terrace, sunken tennis court, fire pit, outdoor dining area and kitchen, and associated walkways and walls. We're also slightly reconfiguring, if you go to the next, first, thank you.
On this slide, or do you want me to go
The
back? to
second
the-
page.
On this
On
one?
this, Right. So we're looking at 2 entrances to the existing driveway, but it's being shifted to accommodate the shift in the house. We're also, this property pretty much has no drainage, so we're adding drainage. We're also upgrading all the septic systems, some of which we can locate, so that's a good improvement there. And we're also going to be limiting the grading. We have to do some grading to accommodate the new drainage and as well as the septic system over there. And we're doing full landscaping, which Ms. Rivas will explain from Hollander Design. And we're here to answer any questions. I think Jim Haynes would like to give a couple comments, and then we'll have Melissa Rivas provide some comments. And we just received, as you know, the comments from the engineer. So I'm sure Kelly and Kevin, thank you. Kevin will probably have a little dialogue about what he has in his notes. Thank you.
Melissa, which sheet, only because it's probably the most significant, one of the most significant pieces on this property, which sheet has the relocated location of the house?
It's C2.
C2? Okay.
So if you look at, that's the first, actually, can you go back one?
Because I see it on C1 with the existing house to be moved.
That's the existing house, and then, do we have?
Yeah. I don't think that's good.
No, I did not, I can't overlay, but I did not overlay.
We did.
There's
There's
another
a
one,
architectural.
yeah.
There is.
Look at that. This
The
is
sheet
new.
is in this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
There's
Oh,
a-
yeah,
right.
right.
So C1 has the existing, okay.
No, you can go back.
No, but that.
This one
This
here
is
does.
it, yeah,
I got it, there we go.
Yeah. it's, oh,
Okay, so
if you zoom in, yeah, it
So you
shows,
can see the red is, that's existing.
Okay.
and it shows where it's being relocated as well with the arrow.
You're on mute.
Oops, sorry.
Is it showing the driveway change?
No, this is just.
No, this is just architectural.
Which sheet is this?
This is the architectural, and the sheet is 002.
Oh,
It's
it
the third
actually
page.
is on the sheet.
It's
I
the
showed
third
you.
page.
It's lightly
Yeah.
red. Oh, okay, on the sheet, on the existing structure.
This might be a good point for me to jump in. It's Tim Haynes, the architect, to talk about the shift slightly, if that would be helpful.
I'm sorry, last name again?
Haynes, Tim Haynes.
Haynes.
Mr. Haynes, you've got many people answering for you.
That's good, I guess. So when we decided to combine the two properties, and we made a couple of other strategic design decisions. One was to remove the stable that was back against the east property line and move it further into the property, so it was conforming. And then we had some extra square footage to add on to the property. And as our objective was to restore the facades looking out at the at Sag Main in particular, and also then onto Hedges, all of our work was to bring them back to their historic, because they had been filled in and sort of made not historically correct. So we put that back into correct shape. And then we wanted to put our additions on the back. So all of those things had us shift the house so that it felt more landed within the large parcel, as opposed to everything sort of squished back against the east property line. So we wanted it to breathe a bit more and give us the space to do that, while still maintaining its sort of prominent position on the hill. Sort of, I live around the corner, so obviously I have watched this house for a very long time, and I'm actually the one who brought the clients because I wanted to find someone who was sympathetic to saving it and restoring it and putting into it what the property deserves. So that was our reason to sort of slide this thing towards the west and a little towards the north.
45 feet's a lot. Is it on the hill? You have to bring in building stuff?
We're not bringing anything. No.
Yeah, I mean, Ed and I spent a lot of time on the property to sort of see what would make it seem like it had been built sort of at the crest of the hill, with its wraparound porches, which we're restoring, which right now are not wraparound porches. There was this idea of it being an overlook at the high point on the property, and have it feel that it is more central to the property, as opposed to when it was on a smaller lot pushed back. So it was sort of now overlooking the reserve, the conservancy in the front.
It used to be a horse pasture.
What is it about the facade that you say changed and you're restoring it back to?
I have
It's been, the whole front was filled in with big plate glass windows. So the
No.
used to be a wraparound porch. It got infilled and then big, huge, like 6 foot by 10 foot plate glass windows, which has always disturbed me driving by.
300.
Yeah, but it's not. No,
It's elevation.
It's elevation, yes.
We have a diagram showing the renovations and additions to the property. It would help.
That would help. So how much is the house being moved to the north? Does it look like it's
15 feet,
16 feet? So the big move is to the west.
yes, 40, it's almost 42 feet.
So what's up there right now?
Oh.
Probably in here, I didn't look at it.
That's being moved.
The little cottage that, does that have a separate CO?
That's your south elevation.
No, it's the one at the front, you move down.
Right, that's
Side
it?
one.
Is
Yeah,
this what
right
you're talking
here,
about?
yes.
That's, right. Oh,
We're moving it
that's
down and
Tom.
turning it into
Oh, wait.
Oh,
you.
Yeah.
Change.
Yeah, nothing to demolish
That's here.
You're not.
Except for that.
Just the wood shop.
Right, this is falling apart.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the chart to show where it all came from originally.
Yeah.
Pursuant to the permits
Right.
as it came up.
Proposed elevation, yes.
Yes.
It's right on the
Yeah,
same sheet.
it's on the same sheet.
It's on the sheet.
A3.
Each of them make it smaller.
Yeah, so what is the elevation increase from the existing house? Just-
You can see it.
So.
So if you enlarge it,
Yeah. I get it so much. All right, here you go.
could you zoom out a little bit?
There you go. That's.
There you go.
See the cottage?
So we have existing above on the same page and
Sorry.
proposed the bottom, so you can see it.
Very sensitive.
So it's, what is it? Feet wise, what's the increase? Is there an increase?
On the elevation,
Yeah.
yes.
Kid comes home from college and
Not on the west side,
No.
only on the north side.
So the addition being put to the back of the house, to the east.
So that's not the west,
they're
right?
taking this out, or this is an addition?
No,
This one's the south.
yeah.
That's the south, so that's.
So if you go to the next page or the previous
This one,
page,
what-
it's the
what
page
is this
before.
Over here. I got it over here, I can't see it.
if you
That's the east. That's the east one. So
if
that
you
kind
could
of
go to
faces
the page before,
Property, page before to the west, right? And
so you go, these are the prominent elevations. These are existing. And below is what's being proposed. So the west elevation is only changing in terms of the wraparound porch.
Okay.
And as you see, the north elevation is where the addition is.
So if you look at this, it's right
They
now
all have
filled,
it.
yeah, it's all filled in,
Oh,
and that's gonna be a
Which
wraparound.
page is that?
This is A300.
You all have these on in front of you.
Yeah,
Push back.
well, we have like 50 of them.
What I have up on the screen.
No.
They should identify one on my sheet.
so Tim mentioned that, currently it's still included in just here, so we're bringing it
So
back.
you can see, this is all filled in and
That's
that's
the-
now we're making wraparound.
I grew up in this house.
Oh, you're
I
kidding
didn't
me.
grow up in the house, but I.
But you hung out like a fella.
So the big move is to the west.
Yes,
And what do you have to do that? Is there any movement of landfill or what has to be, anything done there? That's 40 feet, kind of significant.
Yeah, there's some slight regrading. If you wanna pull up, I mean, maybe this is better for radar.
They were on mute.
There's a little bit of regrading that happens to that side of the house. To accept that, other than that, there's no existing trees or anything in the way. The only trees being removed on the property are where we're putting the pool. There's some evergreens back there and there's this little cutting garden back there, so that's.
Could you just identify?
Sorry, yes, Melissa Rivas from Hollander Design.
Can I ask a question about the barn? So I don't need to go back to him. Before we go to, Will we talk a little bit about the barn, that we kind of skipped over, just, I guess you're eliminating the stable and then it's also non-conforming and all the other, just talk a little bit about the barn that you're actually proposing and what that's.
And what's the usage for us?
The usage and, is there, I was at the ARB.
Right.
Meeting itself, and that was just something that sort of caught my eye back then, that I just wanted to get a little bit more clarity as far as, I know, I guess the usage, I kind of understand, but maybe the board doesn't understand, but it was more about the glazing on either side and whether that was actually going to be seen by the neighbor.
We changed it. I think we've since changed the glazing on that, on what we call it the barn, what used to be the stable, as it were. Essentially, it's the same footprint. If you take off the additions that were put on in the 80s to 2000 time periods, they put a couple of lean-tos to what was probably a perfect rectangular stable structure. So we're going back to that rectangle, exactly the size that was there. We're moving it, as we say, into conforming. They want to use it for a pool table, a ping pong table, a place. They have teenagers and they want them out of the house and ideally out of the basement because it's the beach. So the idea was it was sort of a recreation facility for the kids to use. Sort of, the equivalent of what I guess would have been the suburban basement becomes the Hamptons barn. And apropos what, from our discussion at ARB, since then, we've removed the big glazing facing north. So that from the street, we've gone to a more blank elevation with just a smaller window. I think it's a clear story window, as I recall. Is that in this presentation?
Yes.
Which sheet?
Are we talking architecture here?
Yes.
300.
This is just for information. It's not really before this board for site plan, but yeah,
Okay.
for Mark raised it for context, just so we.
So you pay-
Yeah.
SB 300.
B.
Are we on the architectural plans?
Yes, so it's towards the end, I would say the last page.
B what? Okay, got it.
B 300.
Okay.
Yes,
I can't see them.
so the one on the left is the north elevation.
So at the ARB, we had a large, we're resurrecting sort of the arched stable door form. And we had done that, you're right, on the north elevation. And we thought about everything that sort of we all informally discussed and decided we felt better as well if the north elevation that faced the street looked less developed and there was no reason to glaze it, we felt. And so we went back to what I would call a more vernacular barn gable end.
Bill, do you want to hear from the roof engineer?
Well, are we says no.
I'm happy to talk about the landscape
Yeah.
since
I would like to.
Okay, I would like to
Graphically, I'd like to know
about
what you're gonna do with the property. It's a big piece of property.
Yeah, so we obviously had the ability to walk the property with Tim when the clients were purchasing it, and they also had the ability to walk it with us, which was really helpful and beneficial for us to be able to hear a lot about the history of the property and from their eyes. Obviously, they did a lot of great work in putting a large portion of this into the easement, which is remaining just as it is today. So all of the area along Tagney will remain exactly as it is. And then the area along Hedges is also a pretty important scenic easement for the village. And this property really is a large portion of that fabric of the village. And so everything along that corridor is being left as it is. All the beaches that are there now, the dogwoods, the hedgerow that's along Hedges is remaining. The driveway is also remaining, so the entrances that you see now along the street are being maintained. And then the benefit of the work that we've been doing with the office to move some of the structures around and try to give a little bit more organization to the structures. And it allowed us to put a lot of the private program for the family, the pool and the entertainment areas and the tennis court behind those important buildings. So everything will be subservient to those structures, and everything that's visible from the two main roads here in Semponic will remain largely as they are today. Other than that, we're doing our best to save all of the trees. So this plan kind of calls out all those existing trees. As I said, there's only a couple that have to be removed. There's an evergreen that's sitting in the middle of right now, a little cutting garden. That's exactly where the pool is going. Otherwise, everything else is being currently maintained by TD Tree Care, and our hope is to keep them all the way through construction. Other than that, all of that structures, like I said, is sitting behind that main house, and everything for that main house is running.
I'd also like to note that 53 Hedges, which is right next door, I don't know if you're aware, is currently being redeveloped as well. And there's some substantial structures being there. So by taking the stable away and everything else, we're pulling our property away to give each of the properties a little more privacy as well.
Any questions?
No, I like the fact they're putting it back into conforming.
Yeah.
No, it's good looking structure, not that that's our perfect view.
What's like that?
I wish you didn't have to move at 45.
Not today. This is really good comments, we can make them revise.
Right, so you have to go back to the architectural review board, I guess.
Correct, yes.
And actually,
Engineering?
the engineering.
And then,
So we can let Kevin go next. Kevin, you up, you're at bat.
All right, sounds great. You guys can hear me?
Sure.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Rhodey, when you have a chance, if you can pull up the Rayner plans, sheet C2. Thank you very much. For the record, Kevin Peterman from LKMA as village engineer. Today I'll be speaking only on the engineering. You know, Rich had prepared a planning memo, but I understand he's not here today. I'll be speaking strictly on the engineering. So LKMA has reviewed the application materials submitted on behalf of Winnie Trust for the proposed improvements at 31 Hedges Lane. Our review focused primarily on the site plan prepared by the Rayner Group dated November 14th, 2025. Subject parcel consists of approximately 3.95 acres and is presently improved with a single-family residence, carriage house, cottage, barn, patios, and porches. The applicant has submitted a site plan application pursuant to Village Code Section 245-65F, as the proposal includes modifications to the existing topography. The applicant proposes to relocate and reconfigure the existing two-story dwelling, shifting it about 40 feet west and 15 feet north. The existing barn is proposed to be demolished, and the existing cottage is proposed to be relocated south and converted into a pool house. The two-story carriage house will undergo renovations as well. Additional improvements include construction of a new single-story barn, a sunken tennis court with terrace, swimming pool and spa with terrace, a fire pit, outdoor dining area and kitchen, walkways, and various retaining walls. The project includes new IA sanitary systems, site grading modifications, a new stormwater management system, landscaping improvements, a sunken courtyard, and window wells along the main residence. Regarding existing topography, the site reaches its highest elevation in the vicinity of the existing residence and generally slopes downward towards the west and the south. The proposed grading appears gradual and generally consistent with existing conditions, and therefore we feel the proposed design is not anticipated to adversely impact village-wide drainage patterns. The total area of disturbance is labeled as 1.72 acres. As this is above an acre, a SWIP, a stormwater pollution prevention plan, is required. A SWIP was prepared by the Rayner Group and has been submitted, and that is currently under review. Comments on the SWIP will be provided under a separate cover. It is noted that disturbance associated with routine landscaping maintenance within the conservation easement has been excluded from the disturbance calculations. Provided no hardscape improvements are proposed within this easement area, we take no exception to this approach. We feel it's reasonable and is common practice. It is noted that the property is encumbered by a conservation easement along its western frontage, which, according to village maps, appears to be categorized as a Peconic Land Trust conservation easement. The submitted materials do not include a description of the easement area or the rights conveyed within it. The applicants propose removal of certain dead or diseased trees within this easement area. They're proposing supplemental plantings and the addition of walking trails. It is recommended that a comprehensive landscape plan be submitted to clarify the applicant's intent within this easement area, and that additional documentation regarding the easement restrictions and permitted uses be provided for review. From an engineering perspective, we have identified several items that need to be addressed before our office can recommend approval. Number one, we're asking for the applicant to identify all existing trees to be removed. Number two, the submitted site plan prepared by the Rayner Group does not appear to include a complete drainage design. For instance, this plan does not include stormwater calculations for all impervious areas on site. We did notice a note on the plan, on the grading and drainage plan in particular. That note says that there is another grading and drainage plan prepared by Hollander Design. However, this plan did not seem to be included in the submission package that was given to us. And so it is recommended that either A, the Rayner Group plans be revised to include all necessary grading and drainage components, or B, that the Hollander design plans be fully coordinated and included in the formal submission set. Comment number three, we're asking the applicant to please provide a roof drain downspout detail demonstrating how the roof runoff will be conveyed to on-site stormwater management system. Number four, we're asking the applicant to provide details for the stormwater management system, including but not limited to the dry wells, area inlets, trench drains, pedestal drains. Based on the provided soil boring data, which is depicted on sheet C2 that you see before you, the site appears to be blanketed by a 4.5-foot depth section of silty loam. That silty loam generally doesn't possess favorable leaching characteristics, and so we're asking the applicant just to ensure that when they give us the drainage details that they're accounting for any type of soil correction that needs to be done to facilitate the successful leaching of stormwater. As part of that comment, we're asking the applicant to confirm whether the dry wells will be buried or whether they'll have covers to grade. In residential applications, it's pretty normal to have drainage structures buried at grade. It's pretty normal to have drainage structures buried with no cover to grade. Depending on the application and the setting, maybe it makes sense sometimes to have a cover to grade for maintenance purposes. So we're just asking the applicant to clarify that. Number five, so the architectural plans depict window wells in a sunken courtyard, and it didn't seem very clear how those were translated onto the grading and drainage plans. And so we're asking for the grading and drainage just to add a little bit of clarity about how the window wells and the sunken courtyard will be graded. What elevations will be those finished at? Like at what elevation will they be sitting at, and how will they be drained? Will they have inlets inside? Will it be conveyed to something else? Just asking for a little bit more information on that. Comment number seven, we're asking the applicant to maintain 10 foot between leaching pools and building foundations, and also maintain 10 foot between adjacent leaching pools. We're asking also for the applicant to provide surface material details for hardscape elements, including but not limited to the driveway, the walkway, the window well, sunken courtyards, tennis courts, patios, and pools. We're asking for additional details on the retaining wall, including those walls near the proposed sunken tennis court. These details should include railing and or fall protection if they are applicable. We're asking the applicant to take a look at the south side of the proposed tennis court. So Rhodey, on sheet C2, it's the next sheet in that set.
Is this set?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, go down one.
Oh, sorry.
There you go.
And if you were to zoom in, page bottom at the tennis court. So along the south side of the court, the applicants have appeared to make an effort to satisfy village code, which requires that the tennis court be sunken 4 feet from adjacent grade. And so we see that they're surrounding the tennis court with a wall. They're making an effort to drop it and satisfy the code. They don't quite hit that 4-foot mark on the south side. So they're not maintaining that 4-foot vertical differential from adjacent grades. They're kind of sloping gradually to get up. But even that gradual slope isn't maintaining that required 4 feet. And so we're asking them just to take another look at that. Maybe if they're able to get that to 4 feet, we can all feel good about satisfying the code on that one. And then that's pretty much it. An export permit may be required from the village building inspector for the net export of 1,947 cubic yards of material. I know there was some questions before, is there going to be fill brought into the site? Is there going to be cut? I guess, cut fill analysis was performed. It was reviewed. It seemed reasonable. The results of that analysis yielded 1,947 cubic yards of material to be exported from the site. May seem like a big number, but when you think about the scale of this operation and this application, the size of the basement going in, the swimming pool, the sunken tennis court, it is a reasonable number. Outside of these comments, we remain available to answer any questions the board may have.
Board have any questions? No? Questions? You got it all, and probably writing.
Yeah, I mean, I understand all his comments and I'll address them accordingly.
Great, okay.
I'm sorry, Kelly Calvin here.
Just identifies the record.
And with regard to the south part of the, we actually gone back and forth, we're more than happy to fill that in and bring the wall completely across to the south, so there's no ambiguity on that.
Right. Good.
And just to note, you do have the village planner's report in your packet, and the one point that he made was that there should be a formal landscape plan submitted as well.
Sure. Yeah. There's no other questions, we adjourn this?
Looking forward to seeing more.
Would it be possible, since we seem to be going in the right direction, if we could go back to the ARB and get any other comments from them and formally submit to them?
Any problems with that?
No.
Yeah, no, that's fine, sure,
Thank you,
Yep.
I really appreciate that.
great.
Chris is here.
Okay, so
Would
make
you
a
vote on that?
motion,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
adjourn this to, what's it, January 17th, is that the next one is?
Second.
January 2nd?
No.
No.
Second.
Let me just verify
That
that.
is since you're both right.
January 21st.
Ah, okay, so I'll make a motion to adjourn this to January 25th. All in favor?
Aye.
That's awesome, great, thank you.
Thank
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry
Great
Christmas.
meeting.
Thank you.
Next up, special permit application, nope,
I think we're done with Kevin. You just look at my agenda. Yep.
Kevin, thank you very much, love your
Thanks, Kevin.
reports, plenty of detail.
Happy holidays, Kevin.
Thank you,
My
Kevin.
pleasure. Happy holidays, everybody. See you soon.
Have a good holiday,
You too. Bye-bye.
thank you. Special permit application, topic of on.
Hello, everybody. Tony Pasca. We're from the Public Comment Week. And just so everybody knows, the top, general topping are here representing the families. General is the current general partner. And we all know, I think they're their history with this farm and family's history. This is a multi-generational farm. And we could say the OG, it's one of the OG farms in Sagaponic. So this is a sort of a next step in the sort of long-term preservation of the farm, which began several years ago when we engaged in a deal. It took about 4 years to come to fruition with the town to preserve the farm in perpetuity. And that lasted from about 2000 to 2004. And now that that's past us, Geno has been looking at modernizing the facilities a little bit and fixing them up and getting it ready for another 50 years of use. And so the step that we're here to ask you about is the agricultural house. I don't know. I did bring an aerial because I think it's kind of important to see what we're talking about in the context of the overall. Do you mind if I hand that out?
Yeah, sure.
That's some good copies. I should have sent this to you ahead of time so you could put it up, but. It's just an aerial off the GIS system just to show where the structures are in the context of the overall the overall farm. Put up the survey. The other thing to put up. So what we're talking about, I'm just gonna walk over the screen for a second, just to specify, just this little structure over here in the corner. And what I want to draw to your attention is that there's a dashed line that runs between these structures up here and everything else. Just move the dashed line, okay. It's this dashed line that runs between the buildings. That dashed line is the conservation easement that we did with the town, and the reason we did it in that jagged way was for this very reason. And that was that these buildings, the two structures that this L-shaped structure is going to replace, were tiny little cottages that were used for staff housing for the last 50 years. And when we talked to the town about it, their normal agricultural easements don't allow for any kind of housing. So we either had to talk about modifying the ag easement or just carving it out. So we chose to carve it out just to keep things simple with the town. So it's not part of the protected portion of the property, it's part of the unrestricted portion. So it's not subject to the town's oversight. But, and this has kind of been planned for a while to try to fix this up. Your code does allow for agricultural housing. So that's what we're asking for, is to take what's an non-conforming situation and turn it into a conforming agricultural building. Do that, we have to combine the two little cottages into one, because your code only allows for one such structure on each farm. We are gonna need a couple of variances from the zoning, and we'll talk to John about that. If you wanted us to start here first to get some feedback from this board, since we will have a special permit jurisdiction. But that's why we're here. The L-shaped structures, 1,150 square feet or so. And modest, but it's necessary. It's been necessary when you have livestock. It's especially necessary to have somebody on site to be able to take care of the horses and be there in case of emergencies. So it has been used that way for at least 50 years. Since the 70s, we kind of tried to do a little bit of research to figure out exactly how they were put there in the first place, but the best we can come up with based on some memory. 69. And the two aerials between that from early 60s and the mid 70s confirmed that that's when they showed up. In 69 was when structures that you can see on the last page of this, the aerial that I gave you, the structures were all further to the northwest. And in 69 was when the house was brought down to Daniels Lane, and some of the other structures were moved over here, including these two little cottages that we're now turning into this new staff housing. So the structures have been there since 1969. In the 60s and early 70s and into the 70s, agricultural housing was a permitted use in the town. I can't tell you that it was ever CO'd. We were unable to find anything like that. We looked, Rhodey looked through her files. We actually had no records of the building permits for when the structures were moved over. But I can tell you that the town did allow agricultural housing into the 70s at least. I just can't pinpoint it any more than that. So we had historical housing for at least 50 years, maybe more. And we're just trying to continue that and make it conforming. So I think this is our first stop.
Yes.
And happy to answer questions and want to hear about the history. We will note too that everything around this property, that's partly why I wanted you to see this image, is us or family or other farms. And so when we do get to the zoning board, we're going to have to deal with a couple of variances. I don't think it's going to be a heavy lift because there's no impacts here on anybody other than ourselves, our farm, and the people who live in the family by the farm. And so I think we're gonna be able to make that case to the zoning board to show that there really are no impacts. But this is kind of an ideal situation where, you know, we do want to take advantage of the code that exists. If not this property in a spot where ag housing has been for 50 years, where else is it going to be appropriate? I say that rhetorically, but I mean it. This is sort of the poster child for having at least some ag housing on site, and I think we tried to design it in a way that keeps it as close to the code requirements as we can, subject to what we need to go to the zoning board for.
Question. So the easement that's on the frame building, I guess it's a riding stable. If you wanted to move the housing into the corner of that building, then that would be prohibited. Is that correct?
Yeah, because as you can see where the dashed line is.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure because, so in other words, you're forced to be out there
We
where,
have no choice.
where the variances would be quite large, at least in terms of percentage wise.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. That's what is a limiting factor in terms of location of it,
Okay,
is that ag easement that was drafted to
right.
carve this out, but you know, it's what it's.
Everything
That's the historical location of it, so we didn't really have much
brings
choice.
up more issues. Yeah, every time you do something.
We could have not put an ag easement on the property at all, but that would have defeated the whole point
Right,
of
exactly.
preserving it in perpetuity as a form.
Okay. Questions from the board?
Yeah, what's the process here? What's the?
So, because it's a special exception use, it does require a public hearing. So we'd have to schedule a public hearing once now the board's been introduced to this concept. There are elements, Mr. Pasca, as you know, in 24560 lays out what we'd like you to address in the public hearing. I don't think you'll have a hard time doing it based on historical use of the property and the present use now. Some of the things you definitely want to focus in on, though, is, although it's not really before this board for zoning purposes, is that argument on the setbacks.
Yes.
Because the accessory use, especially for agricultural labor housing, the setbacks is significant. And on this part, it would be a massive relief. But I think at the public hearing, we should be prepared to address the arguments as to why this is. And I think it lays out a compelling story with regard to the original setback in the ag easement, which is important for the village, important for the property. But I think it's just something that certainly should be addressed on the record before you go to the site plan. And then obviously there are other covenants that this board is sensitive to with regard to it being continuing in agricultural use, and you know, the numbers of occupants and the housing and the verification process and those kind of things that we'd like to have addressed. But I think if the board is satisfied, or if they want to hear from any of the applicants, I don't want to cut anyone else off if anybody wants to speak beyond you, Mr. Pasca. But at this point, unless the board has any questions, we can move to set a public hearing for whatever's convenient. January, if you think.
January.
Do you think, I'm just talking out loud, getting to the zoning board sooner than later, because they do have a pretty significant discretionary decision to make. Either simultaneously send us there, because we're trying to like head towards the spring and summer and try to get to the point where we could do some construction. So if we can at least maybe do them at the same time, or
I have no objection. I think, you know, obviously we don't want to be an impediment. We just want to make sure the process is followed. I think if the board would approve it going to the zoning board, obviously subject to the grant by the special permit by this board, I don't think that would be a fine strategy.
I don't have an objection to this.
Sure, well, that's fine.
You're gonna hear this again on January 21st before they get to, they're not gonna be able to get on until the February meeting anyway.
right. We don't even have a turn down letter yet.
Right, you don't
but
even have, yeah.
John wanted to wait until we
Right.
came to you to get the turn down letter, but if
Right.
you could sort of at least bless us to move on to that.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
We'll continue with this, and then we'll continue with that one, and
Yep.
assume we're gonna be in ARB as well.
Right.
Correct.
Everybody on the board okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So resolution to, unless Mr. Pascal, you want to say anything else tonight?
I don't.
Does anyone else want to say? Does anyone else want to say?
I think so. They're here, but they, you know.
So, Mayor, I would propose a resolution to schedule a public hearing for January and allow the application to go to the zoning board of appeals, subject to any further special permit proceedings before this board.
Right, okay.
And site plan, by the way.
And site plan as well.
And the code says you can do a combined site plan special permit
Yeah.
hearing, so if you're
We
okay
would.
with that.
Yes.
Okay, I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
You'll be all set for the public hearing.
She will lose it, I'm.
Got it.
Thanks, Lord.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Actually, like.
Yes.
Public hearing needs to be 11 square feet.
Okay, minutes, everybody have a chance to read them? They're pretty much, they're perfect. I mean, they're not well, but they look good. Gonna make a motion to approve the minutes from the November.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. You want to do police now, or we still
Sure.
have some other stuff too?
Well, we can wait till next week.
Yeah, let's,
Okay.
let it right over.
That's fine.
Let's see, caroling is gonna be, December 19th, 4:30 with refreshments, immediately following it in the due. And the suggestion is to bring your favorite baked treat or whatever you want to bring along to bring to the due. The menorah lighting is taking place on December 20th at 6 p.m. That's a nice event. And you want to, David, say a few words about raising money for ag.
Yeah,
preservation?
so I had a meeting with the Laconic people at the Laconic Land Trust, and we've come to an agreement that they could help us with I called SPARK, which was Sagaponic Preservation Agricultural Reserve keepsake. They would be more than willing. They'd like to keep it in line with some other entities which they raise funds for, and called Sagaponic Land Acquisition Fund. And the purpose of this is to raise funds on a tax exempt basis for the sole purpose of preserving working farms, open spaces, and agricultural space in the village of Sagaponic. And they're more than willing to help us in this process and be the custodian for the fund. Although we don't have any specific properties targeted now, we know that we will probably in the future. So we decided I was approached, and some of the other trustees have been approached about some people willing to donate to this fund in anticipation of preserving some of our open spaces and agricultural fields. So we thought we'd get a little bit of a jump on it and start a fund. The fund would be, again, expressly for purchases of potential development rights or property in the village of Sagaponic exclusively. And we think there's a fair amount of residents to be willing to donate to that. We obviously have a couple of targets potentially for development rights that aren't protected that we'd like to try to access this money. I think until we actually get a specific target in mind, I don't think it will be a big number, but there's a lot of wealthy people in the village here. You never know. So I have to obviously work with council on what we can do as a municipality here. So.
Okay, thank you. Good project. Let's see, we have a request to close Village Hall on Friday, December 26th this year. So our employees don't have to leave.
Granted.
Motion to have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. T-Mobile, we have somebody here from T-Mobile to tell us about more structures in the village right of ways.
Yes. We have to have copies of these.
Sure.
They have that in their packets.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They do.
Same thing.
Thank you.
Mayor Phillipson, village trustees, my name is Dave Capel. Appeared before you as a consultant with Crown Castle. Crown Castle is a neutral cellular communications development company. And we're in the process of planning and deploying a system of what they call small cell sites across East Hampton and Southampton town. The project in East Hampton is underway, and we're in the process now of consulting the various municipalities, including Sagaponic, on the Southampton project. I'm pleased to be joined this evening by Paul Costa and Warren Bird, also from Crown Castle. And at this point, I'll let Paul take it from here.
Mayor, trustees, so I'll just have three things to talk about today. Talk about who Crown Castle is, kind of what infrastructure we build, and then how it's going to improve the coverage in the village. So as David mentioned, Crown is a wireless infrastructure provider. We build towers, small cells, and fibers for carriers to access, but also our fiber businesses, hospitals, schools use it to access the internet. We've been on Long Island for 15 years. We have over 500 miles of fiber. I've already built 1,000 small cells on Long Island. 168 towers, and we have an office in Melville, so you're part of the community here. As David mentioned, we're a neutral host provider. What that means is, as you know, we build for multiple carriers of access. So we're not building a structure for one carrier, we're building for all, at this point, 3 carriers to use. And this way you have less clutter, less towers, and less sites in your village or town.
Well, right there, so how many companies can you have on a single pole?
Between 2 or 3, depending on the size of it. Right now, we have a plan for 2 to 3, based on the size of the equipment.
So what would that look like? I mean, are we gonna be able to go somewhere and actually see one of these? You've got 1,000 out here in the.
Yes, we actually have, there's pictures of 5 that we actually have built over in the town of East Hampton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're on Suffolk County right away. And I can look and give you the address of that.
That would be very helpful.
Yeah, so yeah, and I can kind of just move forward, right? So I mean, we're looking to use small cells where towers, they cover large areas, where small cells cover a smaller area, but use a lot of them to improve that coverage of the area. So if you go to, I think it's page 6. So this is the current coverage that T-Mobile have in the village, in Southampton. There's really no coverage here. You know, anything from below 95 dBms is poor coverage. You're not getting it in your house. So in order to make that coverage, they're proposing to build these small cells in the public right of way, attached to existing poles, existing structures. They'll improve coverage. So if you go to the next slide. So right now, they are planning for 15 sites attached to those existing poles, looking to build these sites in 2026 and 2027. And then one of these sites are in air. This would be the new coverage. So the entire village would have what's considered reliable coverage. You know, meaning you can get it inside and outside and have a strong signal with good connectivity. And then kind of what you wanted to see here, if you go to the next one, is what these look like. So these are the ones that are already built. So we have the small cells consist of a cabinet, which is called a shroud, as well as an antenna. So all the carrier's equipment goes inside that shroud, radios.
Which is low or high?
That's the low one on the bottom. Yeah, there. And then we have a antenna on top, which broadcasts the signal. And these are a little bit different. These are, we've put new poles in right away here, but we also are able to attach to existing poles. Go to the next slide there. And these are kind of photo simulations of what those 2 attachment options are. PS&G has certain requirements of what type of antenna we can attach to our build. So most of the antennas, most of the sites will look like this communication zone due to the primary tower on top of the pole. So the antenna is kind of set in the middle of the pole, and then we have the shroud that has the equipment And the other option is kind of a pole top attachment, where the antenna's on top and the shroud is on the side.
What are all the wires?
Those would be existing wires there, and then, cable and,
It's nothing to do with you.
No, yeah, and then the benefit of using an existing pole is that we could use the existing power there and power lines
Yeah.
there, so we're not adding additional, cables there.
Now, we had some inquiries from Verizon, is that correct? Would you coordinate with them if you could put two on a pole? So we don't have multiple poles in the same location?
We're happy to coordinate with them, obviously they're their own entity, right?
Have you ever?
Yeah, most of the small cells we built on Long Island have we have co-locations with both Verizon and T-Mobile and was Sprint, but so we do co-locate with the carriers. And these boxes are designed to hold at least 2 to 3, so we can fit Verizon in.
It'd be handy to have the address of some of these so we can see if they're in East Hampton, that.
We could provide that to the board, happy to do that, yeah.
You guys still have this in a REIT structure, is that how? We used to finance.
Yes.
We used to finance you guys.
Back
Back in the day.
Yeah, it's still.
Crown has,
yeah.
it's still a REIT, a giant REIT.
Yeah, still listed on the stock exchange CCI, that's.
Other questions?
Out in the field there, no.
Is there a carrier that's driving this directly this app? First,
Yeah,
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile.
See you, Mayor.
Nice to see you.
It's T-Mobile that's requesting?
Correct, T-Mobile would be the anchor tenant.
You know if T-Mobile is contemplating any installation in the tower behind Village Hall?
We brought that up and they have not contemplated that yet.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was recently built, so this plan was probably designed before that was up.
And as far as just going forward, obviously, technology is changing on an hourly basis as we go through this thing. This giant pole that we have behind us used to look different, now it's, a monopole, which is now turning into, mini poles, which then you chat a little bit or talk to specifically as far as, how you guys are looking at what's going forward. Obviously, I personally do know what you guys do and how been involved and, around for a long time as far as that goes, but you keep hearing about Starlink as our wave and what's gonna happen with that, and it would be I just, it's more informational coming from a source like you rather than stupid me reading.
Yeah, I mean, carriers continue to have to build out small cells, right? Like,
Right.
You're gonna need towers always, but the small cells are in areas where you can't build towers. They're also in areas where it's hard to reach, but you also need the capacity to, right? So you may have a tower, but if everyone in the village is using that tower, you don't get the coverage that you need. So that's where small cells come in. I think carriers, as they deploy more spectrum, are gonna need more small cells as well. So we see it as the continued growth play for the carriers. In relation to the satellite, it works in very rural areas. I mean, in some here, the problem is as low latency, so you're still gonna have some delays, and everyone uses that satellite, so it really doesn't have the capacity to handle these suburban areas. Those in the future, but right now, it's not really a suburban power plant.
Now, these are powered by the power that goes on the street, goes down the street. So actually, if there's a power outage in a storm, these aren't going to function. Is that correct? I know this has a generator.
Yeah, correct. It's all PSNG power and it goes out, yeah.
Yeah, so that it's in terms of emergency use, it may not be as reliable as a tower.
Yeah, correct. We're limited to what we can put on the right of way of the poles. Absolutely.
Right, you can't put your own generator.
No.
Okay,
These are hard enough to get approved to put a generator there instead of, but yeah.
okay. Other questions?
Well, the issue I have is that it's T-Mobile, and so if Verizon doesn't come to an agreement with you or another carrier, they could conceivably pitch the same pole at the multiple poles for different carriers. So there's no guarantee of it. Right now, we're supposed to have 3 carriers on the big pole, and we only have 2. It's again, to me, it's like a chicken and an egg. If we just get T-Mobile, you can't come to an agreement with another carrier. All we have is T-Mobile, and then Verizon would have another independent pole put up next to it or whatever. So we have poles all over the village, which obviously is not acceptable. So I don't know, how do you get through that process?
I mean, I guess that's kind of up to the board to handle, and there's ways you can force co-location or require co-location, but yeah. I mean, we want that Verizon.
Can you imagine us dotting the whole village?
The
with different
village's
poles?
preference is co-location. When you build it out, you have to build it out for co-location anyway. You have to be able to host the other carriers. We would want that coordination, and I think to Trustee McMillan's point, on the proposed plan, it says 15 sites total. Are any of them, as of now, proposed to be new poles, or are they all existing poles?
No, we're gonna attach to all existing poles.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that would alleviate some of our concern, and we're not putting in multiple poles.
No, new poles are an issue.
But I think we would like to the board senses, we would like to coordinate the co-location with Verizon, because everybody is just now at the starting gate. So before that happens, we haven't even had a presentation from Verizon yet, right, just informal expression.
But my guess is they'll present the same thing.
Oh, it's coming, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and we could have our team speak to Verizon as well.
Great.
Coordination.
In our experience, a lot of times when we build for one, it's easier than or it's more attractive for a customer to come in and say it's existing there, so it's very easy for us to add them in as opposed to them building out new.
Right.
So it's very attractive when we build first, easy for them to come in and it's all set
But I'm
up.
sure they would like to be the first and then try to bring you guys in.
We're gonna try to beat them.
Yeah, so I mean,
Is the equipment, if you add on the tower, you add carriers, they have certain floors as they go on. Is the equipment different if you would co-locate on the top? Does it change the height?
No, because the antenna is the same height, so
It's like an antenna, right?
yeah, you should carry the antenna.
It's just their equipment will be stored in the shroud.
Yeah, so the height doesn't get affected.
Okay.
Would there be a cost to the village?
No.
Would there be a revenue to the village?
Yeah, and we can enter into a right of way use agreement, which the FCC has set at a certain fee at $270 a year for each site that we put in the village right away.
Yeah. The village has an application fee that goes along with that.
Yeah.
On parity with everyone.
Anything else? Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for accommodating us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, thanks, Greg.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
FEMA regulations, are we gonna talk about that? I mean, nothing.
It's not really, it's just more for awareness of the board with the height changes that are proposed. You hear it within the town of Southampton on the proposal to add 18 inches by FEMA. Our question will debate as a policy on whether we want to allow that accommodation essentially by putting it at the top or leave it just to shrink the height a little bit rather than 18 inches, but really it's gonna have less of an impact on us because we already allow the freeboard. We don't allow the freeboard,
No.
so that's.
Southampton does
Right.
at 42 feet, our height limit is 40.
anytime above 40, they have to come in front of the ZBA.
Correct. Correct.
Right.
For those 18 inches.
Why would we change it then?
Well, it's new regulations coming out of FEMA. Right now, the 2-foot freeboard is required by them. We don't make accommodations for that. It's at 40. Southampton changed their code to make it 42. This new code, which will be effective in January, adds an additional 18 inches to that 2 feet,
42.
18 inches. So you'll see by
It
the,
changes the ability to design a house.
Right.
I mean, all of a sudden,
within that
you
40,
got a
you're
house
gonna
with
lose
a
that.
pitched roof and it keeps going like this.
Correct.
The architecture changes at some point.
Correct.
So-
That would be the impact.
Right, the impact is to the property owner who wants more headroom. Because they're gonna get less headroom going forward with this additional 18 inches. So you can, as a board, accommodate that by changing the height to, from 40 feet to 42, like 42. Or not, or just leave it as it is. If you leave it as it is, then they have to go within that 40 feet. Or get back.
Correct. You can always go in front of the ZBA, correct, for the variances. And I guess the question now is, we haven't really seen the impact of this. We haven't seen any applications that are even under it. I think we could wait. There's no reason for the board to take any action just yet to see if there's actually that impact on height. The concern is if you allow that extra height, you've just given away, not given away, but the feds are gonna require you to wait 2 more feet if you want to. With the history of variances, they're just gonna go for larger amounts that are higher than that. I would think that if we waited and saw what happens on the first couple applications, then we'll really see where this FEMA regulation goes and the impact. If you don't want to automatically change the height to a higher house, which is generally something we resist.
I wouldn't want to do that.
Right, is that across, that would be across the village or? is it
No,
specific?
only-
No, just in the
Be-
FEMA zone.
Correct, only in the FEMA.
That's
Yeah, only in the FEMA zone. I mean, that's when you go in front of the ZBA, that's their biggest issue. We're not FEMA compliant, we can't get insurance, et cetera. That's all right. It's not many homes.
Okay, can we pay some bills?
Yeah.
Make a motion to expend from the general fund?
Just to
Nope.
clarify, I
Okay.
just wanna make sure I understand this. So right now, you just wanna hold tight.
Yeah, no action.
Keep on it, no.
Yeah, I think that's
All
fine.
right, I'll let John know that.
Does he have another opinion?
It's whatever the board wants. I just need to let
Well, I
you
think
know whether or not
we're
you
gonna ask-
plan
Talk to
to.
the people in the architecture review board, just see. At some point, we're maybe 4 feet different than everybody on either side of us. And all of a sudden you go to Sagaponic and the houses are all different because they're squeezed. And that's a design feature.
Well,
Yeah.
but I think that, I think, let's just see what the implications is, see how many that really does affect, and then we can come back to it and revisit it.
Right.
But that's gonna be,
It will be effective January of 2026, so.
Okay.
it's gonna Start in a couple weeks, so.
Just
the
means maybe the
application that gets in.
ZBA will get a little more,
Yeah.
more action.
So the village, yeah, correct. We get feedback from the zoning board on variances, and we'll see if that's having an unjust effect. And we'll get an opinion from the building inspector.
And I don't know if there's any, gosh, what's the term I'm looking for? It's something that's already in the hopper.
Any applications?
Yeah, pending. I don't think so either. So if you don't have your building permit, you gotta
right,
conform.
so at the end of the day, we're versus Southampton, we potentially could be 3.5 feet.
Right.
Right now we're 2, correct.
Right now, we're 2, so
Yes.
it would be 3.5 feet differential, so.
Yeah,
I
it
think
could be
that's-
significant, but the bottom line is the ZBA usually gives it a little bit of leeway on that too, they go in front of it. So it's not like set in stone, you can go in front of the ZBA and ask for a variance for various reasons. And typically we give some sort, at least when I was on it, typically got a little bit of reprieve.
And they're just in looking at the application of the FEMA regulations on the properties anyway.
Yeah.
I don't want to just have Sagaponic be for short people.
And this code also captures more property than it currently does, because if you're in an X zone, the gray X zone, which is right next to an AE zone, that property has to build to whatever, like if it's an AE 10, that property that's in the gray X zone, which previously did not have to build to, now has to build to the AE 10. So it's gonna be more property encompassed on this than it was previously as well.
Noted.
That's good.
Make the motion to expend from the general fund $90,900.59. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to expend from the tree fund $14,180.
second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to expend from the planning and trusted agency fund $4,583.01.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to expend from the capital highway fund $501,076.96.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's a nice road, isn't it? Finally, you can drive down
Yeah,
Town Line
it
Road
is.
and,
Wait, just our side is nice.
It is.
They shorted the East Hampton side.
absolutely.
250 feet south of Dames.
And make a motion to expend from the trust and agency fund $2,500. All in favor?
Aye.
Did you have something to say?
I had a question about the amount of juice that would.
Can you just come up and just?
Sure.
Make me-
No, I just,
Yeah,
my name is
state your name.
Elizabeth Pelleas, I live at 11850.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
I'm Linda Frankie's niece.
Hello.
Hello, well, my partner is, but I'm the niece too. I had a question about the amount of juice that will come out of those boxes that are put on the mini towers. And what I'll do is I'll do some research and I'll write a letter.
Sure, okay.
That's something I know a bit about.
No, the last go around, we had a lot of input on that. I had some family members who were barraged me with all kinds of details, and it's hard to know where it lays, you know, who is just grinding an axe and who actually knows something useful, and, yeah, that'd be great, thank you.
I think that what's happening today is going to change quickly. We'll put some parameters on it and then force them to come back.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we're not a long way from
We
anything.
don't have juice coming out of these things.
Yeah, and we don't, know.
The flip side,
Technology is changing so dramatically. It's just moving so fast. So,
And the power.
yeah.
the other side of that, though, is that within the village right of way, they have certain rights to put these up. And we can push them a little bit, but when it comes down to the end of it, we can't tell them no.
Right. Let me look into it, because I think you can like ask them to put some casing around it, perhaps.
Oh,
So we can, I'll figure it out.
yeah, okay. Yeah, thanks. Any other questions, comments? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just, points.
Who are you?
Lee Foster. Just for information, when Tinka said 1969, we actually took one of those little cottages off our property because Bud wanted it. So, thinking maybe we'll take it back. But I just loved it. She knew when it was all happening. And I remember Bud actually asking Cliff for one of those houses, which happened to be on the corner of Daniels Lane and Hedges Lane. So, oh no, Fairfield Ponds. Right? Yeah, Fairfield. So that's much. That's it. And Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
See you at one of these events. Sure. I have just one question, for the, menorah celebration. That's coming when?
Saturday at 6 o'clock.
Saturday, it says.
The 20th.
Can you or should somebody notify the police?
I already am. Yes, I'm gonna notify
I know
them
you're
of
on top
events.
of
So, yes.
it. Not that then anything.
Okay, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. That was interesting. We actually get revenue, $270 per call.
Yeah.
Yes,
Or 60. I counted 60.
Yeah, hey.
I was gonna say, you're telling me that, today was nothing. It was thinking your audience. Both of our.
Both of them are.